First, we start with Chanley Painter with the latest on the manhunt happening right now.
Hey, good morning, Todd. So we are learning that the shooter may have left a message on evidence found at the scene where 50-year-old Brian Thompson was gunned down yesterday morning outside a New York City hotel. Police releasing this chilling surveillance video showing Thompson in the blue blazer as a masked man walks up behind him, raising his handgun. We paused the video right before several shots were fired at close range.
I want to be clear. At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
After the assassination, the gunman escaped through an alleyway before hopping on an e-bike and disappearing into Central Park. Police are still searching for the man, releasing these images of the suspect taken at a Starbucks right before the shooting. And now we are learning some clues as to a possible motive found on evidence at the scene. According to the New York Post, quote, the NYPD is investigating the possible message, which appears to include the words deny, depose, and defend written on live rounds and shell casings left behind by the masked assassin. The UnitedHealthcare CEO was in New York for an investors conference. He was a father and a husband from Minnesota. His wife telling Fox this, quote, Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. She also told NBC News that before the shooting, her husband had received threats related to his job leading America's largest private insurer. And the shooting also comes as Thompson and several other senior executives are reportedly under investigation by the DOJ for selling a combined $101.5 million in shares just 2 weeks before news of a federal antitrust probe went public back in February. Crime Stoppers is now offering a $10,000 reward for information on the gunman. And get this, the New York Post also reporting that the police obtained the suspect's Starbucks trash he threw away, Todd, so they may actually have his DNA.
Chanley Painter, so many unanswered questions. Yeah. We appreciate it. Let's bring in retired New York detective Vincent Maher to try and answer some of them. As a retired detective, what evidence are you honing in on right now?
Well, right now they're doing a canvas of the entire area. They're doing a 5, 10, 20 canvas, which means a 5-block radius. They're going to pick every piece of forensics, every piece of video, every piece of audio evidence. Then they're going to expand that to 10-block radius, and they're going to expand that to 20. Anybody who's come in and out of that area, they're going to know who that person is. Facial recognition. They're going to go through trash cans, alleyways. They're not going to leave one stone unturned. This new DNA evidence possibly is going to be a serious case breaker, especially if the DNA is on record. They also recovered rounds. Rounds can be traced back to a particular weapon if a weapon is found. So they have a lot of good clues to start their investigation on and going forward. So it's a good start, but it's going to be a long road travel to solve this case.
In your experience, though, what's jumping out to you as, ooh, I want to find out more about this piece of evidence, that piece of evidence, as sort of the linchpin that could bring everything together and ultimately find the shooter?
Well, we believe, the public believes, and based on the video, that possibly a silencer was used on the weapon. Now, that's a huge piece of evidence, because silencers are not something you just go in any gun store and purchase. You have to file for a federal tax stamp to own that silencer. You have to get an ATF background check to purchase that silencer. That's if it was purchased legally. Now, again, they're going to go through all the records. They're going through all the records of that right now with the ATF, I'm sure. But unfortunately, there's also, thanks to YouTube, people can create their own silencers, their own makeshift homemade silencers, and that's the case, and it's not a legal silencer. It's going to be hard to trace.
From the moment we heard about this crime, everybody wants to know why. Why did this happen? So how do police, in a situation like this, begin to whittle down the possible motives? We have these bullet shells reportedly with words written on them or engraved in them. We have an investigation by the feds into this CEO who was shot. We also have an industry, insurance, that creates a lot of enemies. I mean, everybody watching this has probably had a problem with their insurance company at one time or another. Rarely, if ever, has it led to somebody trying to kill an executive at said insurance company. And again, we're not saying that's what happened here, but it certainly has led to speculation. So how do you begin to whittle down the possible motives in an effort to find this shooter?
Well, being that the attack looked seemingly so precise and so particular towards an individual, it obviously looked like it was planned. You're going to go through your MSRs as far as motives. That MSRs, your money, sex, revenge. That's going to be the three. That's going to be the biggest routes they're going to go first. Unfortunately, a lot of these crimes like this, that's exactly what they're connected to. I'm not saying it is, but I know the detectives are really pounding the pavement and going down those avenues, as well as every other branch of the evidence tree to try to find out what was the motive of this.
Are you confident they will catch this shooter? And based upon the evidence, when do you think they'll catch him?
Well, we can't put a timeline on that, but I know that the New York City Police Department detectives are, as they say, and are they known, are the best detectives in the world. I worked with some of these homicide guys when I was on the job, and the homicide guys are the best of the world. If anybody's going to find out and get to the root of this evil, it's going to be them.
It appears as if there is a trail. Now, your former colleagues have to connect the dots to find